Cogra West have won the Sanyo video cassette recorder valued at $1,065. And congratulations to the Coombs family of Cogra West for winning that magnificent prize. You should contact us at Channel 10 in the early part of next week if you don't mind. As you see now, it's Graham Olling working blindside for Parramatta. Players only about 16 metres out from the Canterbury line, with Parramatta leading by 2 points to nil. It's come to Murray and gone to Woodward, and Woodward is nicely tackled by Casillas. Again played, and from Webb, blindside to Murray, shows it once, then gets it to Price. Price looks for his winger, finds Dowling, and Dowling scores for Parramatta.
Well, Gary Dowling would love every bit of that too. He left Canterbury this year.
And Graham Hughes in the back play. And they continue to scuffle up as it's Jeff Gerard going away with the ball and getting it to Mick Cronin. Cronin gets a pass on the inside to Neville Glover. Glover gets it back to Webb. Webb is on the halfway mark as he looks for support. How are these two fellows going? Are they settled it down, Pete? It's with Murray, back to Patterson, now to Cronin. Cronin up the centre. He's running out of speed. Price comes onto it. Price gets the pass to Levy. Levy will score a magnificent try. Oh, that was a great try.
It certainly was, and top marks to Cronin, who made the...
At the moment, at 6s and 7s with this Parramatta attack. It's across to Ray Price, now to Mick Cronin, then Gary Dowling coming on the ball very hard, and he was well tackled on the far side of the field, was Gary Dowling by Steve Folkes. It's Murray getting it back to Gerard. Gerard galloping inside the 22 and was just taken out of the play before Mick Patterson arrived. It's out to Murray, on to Levy, on to Cronin, cuts out Dowling, on it goes to Atkins. Atkins back to Dowling. Dowling comes to Gary Hughes, beats him, gets the pass to Levy. They're not going anywhere at the moment though, and Levy is put to ground inside the Canterbury 22. Out to Graham Murray. Now the kick over the top. Patterson has been taken out of the play. Cutler goes high for it, but Cutler is tackled and then dragged back into the in-goal rather stupidly by Ray Price. Appeared to pick him up and drag him back into the in-goal area, hoping for a line dropout, but he must obviously have thought that Dennis Braybrook had been struck down by the sun. Mark Hughes. The point being, of course, that Parramatta should have had Canterbury well and truly still inside the 22, but thanks to the penalty, they are now, the Bulldogs, allowed to breathe a little bit easier, if you can say that, as Woodward crashes Gary Hughes to ground. Graham Hughes giving it to Cook, and Cook is tackled by Woodward around the legs and over the top by Price. Away to Steve Mortimer, who has been having his quiet games in the last few weeks. Here's Graham Hughes doing well, getting it out to Paponis, away to Peter Mortimer. Mortimer looks at this ring of defence and tries to step away from it, gets it away to Anderson. Anderson back to Steve Mortimer. Then he gets his pass back to Peter Mortimer, and I don't think they'll catch him. They haven't got a hope in the world of catching him. And Peter Mortimer scores a runaway Canterbury try.
And what a try that was. That was a wonderful try.
This is Cook, about 4 metres outside the 22. Graham Hughes puts his shoulder into one, trying to bump his way clear of this Parramatta defence, and a penalty goes to Canterbury against Mick Patterson. So Guerin hits it again, this time. Oh, geez, missed it again, Guerin. It's hit the top of the upright and bounced down to Gary Dowling, who's made a big burst for Parramatta outside the 22. But Steve Guerin now has missed a couple of very simple attempts at goal, really, for a man who's been kicking as well as him this year. Murray making the break. Away to Glover. Glover's looking for Patterson. He finds Kevin Webb, and Webb is tackled about 35 metres out from the Canterbury line. Away to Murray again, and he gets the ball down, but it's knocked on. Patterson has it for Parramatta. It'll be a scrum.
A more positive role in this match if the Bulldogs are to get back into the game. He's started the run in the last few minutes, and I recall him last year absolutely blitzing Parramatta almost single-handed in a semi-final. The Earls went on to win the match, but Mortimer's brilliant play had them in trouble for most of it.
So it's a Canterbury penalty. His confidence, I would imagine, jaded as he strikes this ball, and he's kicked it. Yes, Steve Guerin's got the kicking boot right on again. After certainly going through a lapse, the scoreline is 12 side of the halfway, back to Peter Mortimer, out to Steve Mortimer, then given to Cook, and Cook gets a one-hander back to Cutler. Cutler gets his pass away to Paponis, on to Chris Anderson. Anderson turns it straight to Graham Murray for Parramatta. That could have been a good chance for Canterbury. Woodward out to Patterson, and Patterson's held 10 metres out from his 22. Woodward running with it, gets the ball away to Hilditch, across to Murray. Murray taken by Paponis. Play still about 15 on the Parramatta side of the halfway. Dowling held up by Graham Hughes, and he throws the short left, and the penalty goes to Canterbury. After this kick from Guerin, hits it. It looks okay. It's a goal. And Parramatta lead by 12 points to 9 as the Bulldogs come back. The ball back to Mark Hughes. This is Steve Mortimer. Now it's Dan Cutler, but tackled nicely by Graham Murray. Ball to be played back to Folkes. Across to Gary Hughes. He gets through the opening, looks for support in vain before being tackled by Dowling.
And he had Cook on the outside of him too.
But Canterbury continuing to attack. It's out through Folkes to Cutler. Cutler turns it back to Folkes. Murray makes the tackle, but it goes to Graham Hughes. And the big man is held, loses it back to Paponis. Picked up by Guerin, and Guerin is tackled about 11 metres from the Parramatta line. Great excitement at the moment as the Bulldogs come back, as Mortimer kicks ahead, and it's a penalty to Canterbury against Mick Patterson for felling Steve Mortimer after he'd kicked the ball.
And that would have to be a hairline decision too. Oh no, he certainly obstructed Mortimer after the little kick over the top.
15 minutes of time remaining. The Guerin kick is successful. Completely outside the park. And 12-11, Parramatta leading Canterbury in Channel 10. Cook for Canterbury to play it. Back to Paponis, out to Steve Mortimer, Gary Hughes, then to Mark Hughes, and taken by Gerard. Referee has called Gerard out
for the high tackle.
George should have little or no trouble, although the pressure will be extreme. There's the kick, and he's put it between the big ones. Canterbury Bankstown leading Parramatta by 13 points to 12.
13 points to 12 lead, and with only 3 or 4 minutes remaining, one wonders now whether they can hang on.
Steve Mortimer still going for Canterbury, getting the ball around the corner to Anderson. Anderson looks like he'll score. I think he might have dropped it.
Yes, he threw the ball at the line. I don't think there was any doubt about that one.
A lovely piece of football by Mortimer, though, wasn't it?
Got the ball. 9 metres on the Canterbury side of the halfway to Graham Murray, trying to do it himself. That is not the way they're going to win this one if they are. And here's Price, reeling free of one and serving a ball back to Woodward, who throws it. It's picked up by Glover. And Glover tramples across the top of fallen bodies as he is now told to play it. And Gerard decides he'll go. But he's tackled and can't get the pass away. Picked up by Mike Cronin, given away to Ray Price. Gets the pass. No, he doesn't. Not held, still going. Then gets the pass back and just hopes that somebody dives on it. Dowling couldn't handle, and it's dived on by Jay for Parramatta. Braybrook coming around to inspect the situation. But he's ruling a knock on, and he's putting a scrum down.
Well, this is a vital scrum. Paponis won't want to do anything wrong here with Cronin. There's the bell.
It's all over with Canterbury Bankstown defeating Parramatta by 13 points to 12. Canterbury coming from 8-0 down in the earlier part of the game, getting up in the second half to defeat Parramatta by the 1 point, 13 to 12. And so haven't these two sides had some close ones in their 2 premiership matches this year? We'll be back in just a moment with the Electronic Sales and Rentals and National Panasonic man of the match in the dressing rooms. In the Canterbury side, 13 defeating Parramatta 12 here at Belmore Sports Ground before a crowd of just in excess of 12,000. And Canterbury running out victor by 1 point, as Parramatta did against Canterbury in the first point. Only the scores, in fact, were doubled at 25-24 in that first encounter. For Canterbury, Peter Mortimer scored their try, and what a great try it was too by Peter Mortimer in the first half. Steve Gearin didn't kick well in the first half, but he kicked very well in the second half and kicked 5 out of 7. Whilst for Parramatta, there are 2 tries by Mark Levy and Gary Dowling, and Mike Cronin kicked 3 goals from 6 attempts. Now, the scrums finished 11-8 to Canterbury, and the second half scrums went to Canterbury 6-2. The penalties, they finished 13-8 to Canterbury, and the second half penalties, they went 7-2 to Canterbury. And so the overall statistics are Canterbury 13, Parramatta 12, with the scrums 11-8 in favour of Canterbury, and the penalties 13-8 also in favour of Canterbury. But when you look at the scrummaging of this match today, obviously that should give you a fairly large-sized hint as to who the man of the match is, with Peter Peters in just a second.
George Papanis, congratulations, the Electronic Sales and Rentals and National man of the match.
Thanks very much, Peter.
A very tough win, George. 1 point against Parramatta again.
Yeah, well, that's the first win we've had against Para for a while, and a win's a win, and we're very happy to win the game.
George, you led the scrum 6-0 at one stage in the second half, and that was the big reason why the Bulldogs barked again today. What happened in the dressing room at half-time? You were down by a scrum in the first half and having a lot of trouble.
Well, we had them 5-4 in our way at half-time, but anyway, we were getting pushed off the ball a lot in the first half. It was very muddy out there, and at half-time we just told our second rowers to plant their feet and not concentrate on pushing, just on holding the mark, and that the front row would do the rest, and it worked.
Is that the best win you can recall this season for the Bulldogs?
Oh, not this season, but it's the best win we've had in the last month or so, and we've been in a little bit of rot, and I think we're on our way out of it now.
Well, there's nothing like speedy service, and that's what happens at Electronic Sales and Rentals and National. And George Paponis has got his television here in the dressing rooms today. Here's Joe Hasham to tell him all about it. Thank you. Today from the big game, Canterbury and Parramatta. Hope you've enjoyed it. And on Wednesday night, it's Manly versus Brisbane in the Amco Cup. Should be a good game. And then on next Saturday, we have the second test for you between Britain. On behalf of Keith Barnes and Peter Peters, I'm Ray Warren from the big game. Good night.